Jessica here from the Cherry on Top, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to make a whole bunch of different interactive pages to add to your Snap Flipbooks. I am working in this one, which is included in the October Cherry box, but these techniques can also be used in the Snap binders, as well as in art journals and scrapbook pages, and wherever else you think you might want to add them. So here is my empty and flat flipbook. I like to start by taking all of the pages out, and that way I can easily grab them and use them. I use them as measurements a lot, which you will see in this video. And also, as I am working, I can rearrange them in the book as I finish the pages as well. So that's why I start just by taking them all out. And this first interactive page is going to be a little shaker page. I love using these divided pages for adding shakers because they are the perfect size and I don't have to use a ton of sequins to fill them. I've tried making these pages in a few different ways, using wet glue, using cherry tape, and using this red tape. And I found that I like using the red the most. The cherry tape also works really well, but you see it a little bit more, where this red tape is more transparent. And then also you're not dealing with wet glue and drying time, and it's just pretty quick and easy. Now I'm going to grab one of the 12 by 12 pages, and you'll see me doing this a lot where I take measurements from one of the existing page protector pages, and I mark the top and the side, as well as there are 2 score marks, and then I circle where I will need to hole punch it. So I'm pretty much copying the page exactly, and then just cutting it and scoring it and punching it where it is needed. And this is the base of a lot of the pages that I'll be doing in this video, and I'll just be modifying it a little bit differently each time. For these pages, a lot of them I use other things as measurements and eyeball it. I will try to give some of the measurements as I'm going though. So this is a 6x8 panel, and then I am cutting it diagonally, and this way I am able to create some diagonal pockets on my page. I love having pockets in my mini albums and flipbooks because I often use them for like trips or to document a time of year. So I like collecting things from the trips, or being able to store extra photos, or write some journaling down on a tag and having that stick in the pocket. This gray page is about 4 by 5.5 inches, and I cut that diagonally as well to make a layered pocket. You could also add another one of these smaller ones on the other side, but I liked the look of the 3 pockets. I'm using cherry tape and putting it along the side and the bottom, and then this way once I stick it down I'll be able to still put stuff in the center. You could also use wet glue, but I'm just using cherry tape for this project. And there are a ton of different configurations that you could do. You could have all of the diagonal pockets all in the same direction going down. You could have them flip more, or have them be at less of an angle or more of an angle. So there are many possibilities and different ways that you can do this. So you could use them in all of your flip books, but there will still be a little bit different each time. This next page, I am using one of the watercolor pages that I had sprinkled with some of the orange color sparks that is also in the cherry box. And I love adding a little touch of mixed media here and there in these books. The first sheet of this paper I cut was 8 by 6, which is the size of the pocket pages, and then the one that I'm going to stick on top of it is slightly smaller, more around 5 by 7 inches. And then I scored top ½ inch, and that is all you need to make the flip part. But because my mixed media paper was white on the one side, I am grabbing another piece of paper to stick on top of it. Again, I am using cherry tape to adhere everything down. And then once this top page is adhered on, I'm adding another strip of cherry tape to add on the flap. And this is what will hinge and open and close this part of the book. What's cool with this page is I'm still going to stick it inside of the page protector, and then this top part will stay outside of it so it can pop open. So it makes a nice long page. Doing all of these techniques is really great for adding a lot of photos or a lot of journaling, and I think it's just really fun to look through and makes it much more interesting for the viewer of this scrapbook as they're going through it. These next two pages are similar with the idea of the first page. So I'm cutting this, it's 6 inches across, and then I scored it at 4¼ inches, and then from that score line it's 4 inches, and that way I can have it flip open and still have a little bit showing at the bottom. And this is the same idea, just using one of the 3x4 cards. So I'm scoring it at 4 inches, and then from that cut I will cut it at like 3 3/4 inches. So again, this just flips up. I stick part of it in the page protector, and the rest of it will flip up. With these types of pages, I also love to add some ribbon around it and just pop it up off the page a little bit more. Now I'll be using some snap photo flips, and these come in different sizes, and it makes interactive piece just really quick and easy because it's like the rest of the flip book. I just remove the adhesive and then stick it down, and then boom, you have an extra place for a photo or journaling or a journaling card. And I just think they're really cool. You can also layer them up, which I'll be showing later in the video as well. This next page, again, I used one of the pages as measurement lines, and so I'm cutting it, but I'm not cutting the right side of the page because instead I'll be folding that over and it'll be like a folder that pops out and open. But I still want to add my score lines and punch where my holes will be. Instead of cutting where I put my line on the right side, instead I will be scoring that so I can easily fold it over. I always like to fold over my score lines just to make it so when I do put it in the book, it'll be easier to turn. The next page that I'm making is a tag, but I include it as an interactive page because you can pull them in and out of the pages. So this particular tag is a little bit smaller than 3 inches and a little bit longer than 4 inches. That way it can fit nicely in the 3x4 page but have a little bit of room to be able to still be pulled out, and I made it a little bit taller so you can actually have something to grab onto. When I make a snap flip book, I like to add quite a few of pages that I make my own pages, and this is for a few reasons. One, so I can do all of the interactive things that I like to do, and also because I like the look that they give, meaning like I don't like just all of the plastic page look. I like it when I can break it up with some of the paper feel as well. And I also think it makes it more interesting to flip through, just feeling the different textures, going back and forth from the plastic page protector feel and then the cardstock of the paper. And this page, I measured out my page, but I didn't cut it along the bottom. Instead, I am folding it up to create a pocket. And also, along with what I was just saying with creating different feels, I like to also create some pages that are a bit smaller so you don't just get used to flipping the same size page over and over. When I do these though, I make sure that it's at least long enough to um, have both of the holes from the page protector. I want to line up and make sure both of the holes are still there so it's still nice and sturdy. So I don't make them any shorter than 5 inches long. So my page was 10 inches by 5 inches, and I folded it in half hamburger style, and I want to leave the open side on the right side um, so that I can still stick things in the center there. You could also just as easily make this page opening from the top. You would just put your adhesive along the side and the bottom, but I want this tag that I'm going to add in here to slide in from the side, so I added a piece of cherry tape along the top and the bottom. I wanted to reinforce the opening a little bit, so I'm adding some of this thicker mixed media paper along the edge of this page. And also this shows that something different happens here, and I think it gives a nice separation from the tag and this pattern paper. So again, you could use your favorite liquid glue or use cherry tape like how I'm using here. Most of the products that I'm using here, including the pattern paper and the Flipbook, are included in the October Cherry box. And I'll also show a finished flip through of my finished Flipbook, so stay tuned for that. And here you can see how this page works. This next page I'm making is going to be able to open both at the top and the bottom, and a little fastener in the middle that holds the two flips open. So I'm starting again with that same base size page and scoring it and hole punching it. I love having reoccurring themes throughout a flipbook. So for here I'm using all in the same collection, so of course it goes together, but I love all of the butterfly pages and nature feel, and it's not just all pumpkins, but a bit of just that all over feel of autumn. I wanted the top flap and the bottom flap to be a little bit smaller than the page so I could still have the orange butterfly paper kind of creating a frame around it. So I cut it about 5 3/4 inches in down the middle, and then to have the flip up and flip down, I just started with them long and then kept shortening them until it was at a length that I thought looked good. On the top piece, I scored 1/2 inch from the top, and on the bottom piece, I scored 1/2 inch from the bottom. And I also decided to round my corners on these, and actually I went back through the book and rounded a lot more corners. Anything that had a flip up, I decided to round those corners just so you could see underneath it a little bit easier, and the corners are less likely to get bumped and dented. I used some small circle dies to cut these 2 small circles, and then poked a hole in the center. And using a ruler, I am finding the center of the paper because I want these to be right in the center. And then I will poke through this page as well, and then using some little brads to hold them on, I'm creating a little, like how you would use with a file folder, and use some string to tie them together. I actually haven't made a interactive page like this before in one of my flipbooks, but I see a lot of different possibilities with it. For this, I just left it open in the center, but I could also see adding like little folders that would pop up in the center as well. And that would be a really good opportunity to add a bunch of photos. I don't have photos for this already, so that's why I'm leaving some of these a little bit more open, because I don't know if I'll need a lot of area for photos or less areas for photos, and that'll depend based on whenever I decide to fill it. So I got some twine and I double knotted it around the bottom and then glued it in place and measured it out enough to be able to wrap around a couple times, and that was it for that page. Now I'm creating some pockets that will go inside of the page protectors. Both of the pockets, this one's for the 3x4 page, and then also for the 6x4 page, I had them measure up 1.5 inches, and that leaves plenty of space for them to stick in, but still also show the background behind them as well. And I like to create tags with the little strings poking out, and that way they can still be grabbed and pulled out. And this is a great opportunity to add hidden journaling or something else that you don't necessarily want everybody to see when flipping through, but something a little bit special. Or like if you have random photos, that's usually the ones that I try to hide, is just random photos or photos that are almost similar or almost a duplicate but still a little bit different. This next page is again going to be a smaller page, so I don't want to make it any smaller than the 5 inches, but then I will be folding it in half and it will open on the top, and then by folding up halfway I also create some pockets along the like in the center of this page as well. So to make this page, start with a 12 by 7.5 inch paper and then score it along 2.5 inches from the bottom, and that's what you can fold up to create the pockets in the center. I still added the score lines and then measured out the distance for where the holes would be and punched through all of the papers. And then I'll be adding some cherry tape. So I first want to tape the like the inside or the middle pockets, and then I'll also go in and tape along the bottom so the main part can also be its own pocket as well. If you guys have any other ideas for pockets or have ideas for things that you've done in the past, I would love to see them, because I make these flip books all the time and always love trying out new pockets and new interactive pieces. So make sure to tag us, because like I said, I would love to see them. This next page, I'm creating a waterfall like triple flip up page using these 4x4 pieces. When you're putting them into these little pockets, you'll want the one that's on the front side to be faced up, and then the ones on the back side you want upside down. And that way when you flip up your little flip, your image or words are not upside down. So you can see how that works here. When adding extra pages to a flipbook, they can often get a little bulky, and you can end up with a triangle shaped book, which I don't love. So I like to add foam along the sides of my pages before I add them back in, and I leave room for the holes. And after adding these on each page, I'll put them back in the flipbook. It's kind of crazy how many pages you can fit into one of these books. I have not hit the max yet, but this is one of my chunkier books so far. So let me know also, what of these pages are you going to try out? There are definitely a few of my favorites. I love these smaller ones. And then also make sure to check back on our channel, because I'm going to embellish this and finish up all of the pages, and I'll do another flip through. I just wanted to show how all of the different interactive pages worked on this video as well. If you want the products that I'm using in this flipbook, make sure to subscribe to the October Cherry Box. You have until September 25th to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching, and I hope this inspired you.